So welcome to the Cracking the Corporate Code session on how to land six-figure corporate contracts from A to Z. I'm Ange Matthews, and I'm the founder of the Happy Investor Method. Now, initially, when I submitted this talk in, I was a little bit literal, and I wasn't sure what A to Z would mean. You know, I don't know if you guys expected every single letter of the alphabet or if it was just like a phrase, but I'm also quite literal, so we're going to do every letter of the alphabet. Just throwing that out there, but it will go quick and it will be fun. Perhaps. All right, so I'm Ange Matthews, as I mentioned before. I'm the founder of the Happy Investor Method, and what that means is that I want people to experience joy and happiness when it comes to managing and investing their money. I've got two arms of the business. I've got a B2C arm, meaning that I help everyday people accomplish their goals. And I also have a B2B side of the company where we help other corporations and organizations still fulfill the goal, but in a bigger landscape. I'm also a lover of life, which just means that fun is really the driver for almost everything that I do. The first time I came to FinCon, I was actually pregnant. And this was the latte effect guy. And I remember right before he got on stage, I told him to rub my belly for good luck. Initially, I was just like, dude, my daughter is like rubbing elbows with multimillionaires. Like, what a great way to start her life. But then the second FinCon said baby came out, and she came with me, and she was in the back of the room when I was giving a talk similar to this. And so I've been a part of this community for a long time, and she's now going to be almost 7. So that's how long all of this has been. So there's one thing that I'm super passionate about when I speak. And I don't want you to think that speaking here or being in the room or being in our community doesn't lead to future opportunities. This is when I spoke last year at ConvertKit on the same stage as Amy Porterfield and a lot of other names that we all know, but it really is to give one big message. And the good word is that money loves you and wants to be around you, period. And if I could add one other thing, it wants to be around you and love you unconditionally. Money is a tool, and it's really about what we can do once we get the money that's really going to change everything. It allows us to be more of who we were born to be. Now, this might not seem relevant. You're like, dude, how do we get to corporate contracts, and what does this mean? But the reason why I ended up doing more corporate contracts and speaking to more people was because I wanted to utilize this tool more. So it didn't start with corporate contracts. I will say that I'm a business owner. Happy Investor Method has been in the world for 8.5 years, and we really productized information around financial wellness. And so I did everything they told you to do in FinCon. I have tried to start a blog, failed. I've tried to be like, I don't know, a super mega influencer and have millions of followers. I still haven't reached 10K on my Instagram, y'all. It's been forever. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen. But you don't have to be popular to make a lot of money. And that's usually what I talk about at FinCon. But it all started with an aha for me. Why wasn't this working out anymore, the B2C side of the business? Well, for me, the aha was about life. It was about work and purpose. So in my day-to-day life, I realized that I was prioritizing making money in the business more than some of the other jobs I really needed to prioritize. Jobs like being a present mother, jobs like being a present wife, jobs like being a really responsible child and a person in my community. And so what I realized was I'm going to have to scale back on this thing that I created because it was morphing into something that I didn't want anymore. And I'd like to think that I got this aha. It was inspired by Bob Marley when we took a trip into Jamaica. And I was just like, I want to live like Bob. He just had fun and like inspired the world. Like, why can't I be like Bob? So before I go on, there is a workbook for you to get that's going to help you submit all the information I'm telling you today. Now, this is really important because I'm going to go through these slides quite fast. Like I said, A to Z is a lot, right? So get the workbook. And this slide, if you don't get it right now, it is going to be up again later in the presentation. So this is a roadmap for you. These are going to be points, but really it's up to you to make it your own. Now, what does it mean to make your own? If you can get 2 or 3 things outside of what I say today that you're going to take, use, and implement, then it's a win. Use the workbook to help you through the journey, but all I want to show you is that this is possible regardless of what you're doing. So who here has had a corporate contract or worked with an organization or over a longer period of time than just one initial engagement. Okay, we've got about I'd say 35% of the room. So that means we can all learn, and we're all going to learn to be better if you've been doing it, and we're all going to learn to just get in the game. So what's the best part of being an entrepreneur? Who wants to say? The money. And time freedom. Anyone else? What's the best part of being an entrepreneur?
I think it helps me to maximize my fatherhood and being a better husband.
Yes, being a better father, a better partner. I saw one all the way over. Yeah. The what now? Yes, absolutely. All the way to the far right. Time freedom. I love it. Autonomy and independence. I love that. All right, y'all. So what's the not so good part? Yeah, let's be clear. The benefits suck. What else is the not so good part? Admin work. Anyone else? Oh, we all have amazing businesses? Great. Minutiae and details.
If you stop working, the business stops.
If you don't show up, nothing shows up, right? Yes. So most businesses fail because they don't diversify revenue streams. Now, I mentioned before that I'm an investor, and I own over 111. I own equity/stock in over 111 companies. So this is my day job, analyzing investments, analyzing companies. And the ones that don't do so good, y'all, they focus on just one thing. And I know they say to do one thing well, but we have to learn how to do one thing well and optimize everything in that one thing. So here it goes, A to Z. Get in the door, phase one. So what does this mean? There's a lot of ways to get corporate contracts, but it really is a relationship type of job. And you want to just try to get in the door any way you can. Now, I'm not saying to sell your soul, but you will find yourself doing things that you might not have thought of doing. So I know a lot of folks talk about speaking and should they speak for free, but yes, oftentimes I am a paid speaker, but if I can see something going to an end goal that I desire, I'll still maybe speak for free just to get in the door. So be prepared to do things that you're not comfortable with. For some of us, we might be introverts and we don't like talking to people, but you might have to actually say to someone, hey, can I come internally and support your team, right? And so for some of us, you might not still want to do that. There are some things you can Google. RFP, request for a proposal. There is RFQ, right, request for a quote. And then RFI, request for information. And so all of these things, you put RFQ, RFP, RFI, and your specialization. So for financial wellness, for most of us, we're all personal finance folk, right? If you're not, right, I don't know. They might kick you out. Don't raise your hand. But it's okay, but it's still applicable. But for a lot of us, it's financial wellness. Apply for speaking engagements with decision makers present. So you want to make sure that you're in the room with people who can come with rooms themselves. And I'll give you an example of this in a second. Also, use LinkedIn and social media. I know LinkedIn, sometimes people don't enjoy to use it if you're a YouTuber and you've got thousands of followers that are regular people. But honestly, when you go on LinkedIn and when you start going into corporations, my 8,000, I don't know, it might be 89 now since I came to FinCon. I think I got 89 other followers on Instagram. But my 8,089 is very impressive to the regular person who has 12. And so just show up the way you are and they'll take it. An example of this was when I spoke at the Urban League and I was on a panel. And usually I don't do panels because it's kind of hard. Somebody ends up taking over the panel and you're like, So usually I don't, but I did want to talk about this because it was a conversation that I'm extremely passionate about, which is economic growth within Black communities. And I went there specifically because I knew there would be change agents in the community, in the audience. So there were diversity officers from every Fortune 100 company, because this is a conversation they need to be a part of. There were governmental organizations there. The mayor was in the room. It was a very high profile to be seen. So I was okay being one of four because at the end, people still get to see who I am. And this led me to getting a contract with National Grid because someone was sitting in the room. I keep pointing the slides, but so Here he gets to the alphabet. A, analyze the opportunity thoroughly. A lot of times people apply to things and they don't actually read the directions. Similarly to when we're hiring. How many times we put a job post out there to get a teammate and we just get a whole hot mess back? Well, don't be the hot mess that someone's getting back. B, build a compelling value proposition. Show why this is important and why this is important now. You want to really make sure to customize your pitch. A lot of us have standard templates that we use, but you really want to put something unique in it. I'm not saying that you have to have a new pitch for everyone. Initially, I did that, and I would get so crushed when they didn't select me as the vendor. But if you can have certain areas of your pitch that you change, then it's going to work out great. And I don't know if you noticed anything that I said there, but I said vendor. So when you go into a corporation or organization, we're no longer like this powerful influencer. We're now called a vendor. Okay? Clear? I didn't know that initially, so I'm going to say it. Because you might be thinking, like, I'm not bringing the food. What are they talking about? No, you're a vendor too. We do the same processing as the food folk. You want to also demonstrate your credibility with data and success stories. And so this is really interesting because how many of us are new to the field of personal finance, doing it as a business or a serious thing? A couple of us. So if you don't have that credibility within your own business, you can just borrow it from our actual industry. Who here believes that learning how to manage your money is going to help you live a better and successful life? Yeah. Most folk do, but they don't actually think about it that way. You can put that on your proposal and just put a stat, and they're going to say, okay, yes, I do need you. You help me with this? Great. Phase 2, take them on a date and propose. I know it's a little rushy, right? You're like, whoa, take you on a date and then propose. But yeah, right? What's the saying? Closed mouths don't get right. You need to propose. What does this mean? Be professional. Don't just send over something, that looks pretty. This is not Instagram. These people need to take what you give to someone else to get approved. And even though they're speaking to you and they're excited about you, guess what? The person that they're going to give it to might not know you. They don't know anything. So actually have substance in your pitch. Follow up consistently. They're helping you out by giving you additional revenue in your company and helping you fulfill your mission. You are but another meeting or another thing for them to do. And really, honestly, it's like they're pulling in a solid for you because let's be real, which one's going to get more priority? Their personal review with their boss or them actually saying, hey, I met a girl or a guy who seems like they can help us, one day leave our job, right? Make it look good for them. Get your pricing right. And this comes up a lot when it comes to pricing for corporates. And I can't get too much into it, but I will say one thing. There are people who love to get in a Ford to get to their destination, and there are people who love to get in a Lamborghini to get to their destination. Is the Lamborghini person going to want to go in the Ford? Probably not if they're used to Lamborghini treatment. Is the Ford person going to think they can get into a Lamborghini and be okay? Probably not. So if you're going after a corporation or a bigger contract, think about it in that regard. Think about it. Are they Lamborghini or are they Ford? It's not good or bad, but cater your proposal to that. Bless you. And handle objections confidently, because there will be objections. Along the way, here are some other things. Bless you again. Make them laugh, right? Everyone is so serious around money. They want to work with someone that's going to be lighthearted. They already have all of these preconceived notions that, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. I should be like a multimillionaire. I'm a failure at life. I can't even explain this to my kids. People have a lot of stress and anxiety around this. The second I step into the room, I make a joke. I make them laugh. I make them join on the mission, which is access to freedom for everybody. We all get to learn how to make our money grow. I speak about other high-profile clients or results. So I'll drop names, right? I'll say, oh, you have no idea, like blah, blah, blah. They had no idea what to do when they first spoke to me. They didn't even know what compound interest was. And they were a VP in this company. They're like, no way, over there at that company? And I'm like, girl, it's okay. We're all a hot mess inside. Right? So you just have them feel comfortable and then help them see themselves as, again, a part of the mission as a helper. So implement AI for efficiency. How many of us use AI? Wonderful. Can I tell you a little secret? AI helped me come up with a letter for every part of the alphabet that goes with this talk, because I probably wouldn't have been able to. I mean, the points are valid and they're my points, but they helped me get creative, and I'm going to show you how you can use AI too. But justify your value with a clear ROI. Everything has to go through finance. We know this. We're numbers people. So make sure that there are accurate bullet points as to how this is going to 2x, 3x, increase retention, use the jargon that they enjoy and that their CFO is going to want to know. Relationships are important, right? And so keep on providing ongoing support. If you know that, example, you're going after Walmart and they're doing a community development project, well, why not just share things with them about community development? Let them know about things that are happening that they could potentially also sponsor. Put them in touch with other organizations. Be helpful. And then also lead with confidence to secure trust. So for me, I'm clear when I step into the room, I'm the leader. For a lot of us, we don't see ourselves as leaders. But if they're going to pay you 6 figures to help out with a problem, guess what? You are the leader. So here's how I use AI. Everyone knows this, right? When it comes to asking a question. So when I first started, I asked Google, when I was on the journey to financial freedom and wealth, I asked Google, how do you become rich? Because I was sitting in a 9-to-5 job that really wasn't feeding my soul. And all these things came up. And after asking Google, how do you become rich? I was like, okay, this is clearly not the answer because I do not want to, it was telling me like I could be a driver or something. I didn't want to do that. And so then I said, how do I never have to work again? Let's be clear, Google. And then it's like, well, then you need to be an entrepreneur. And then I looked at entrepreneur. Okay, how to be successful? Well, actually, 50% of entrepreneurs fail within the first year, and then 95% fail within 5 years. Okay, Google, let me be extra clear. How do I make money forever? Period. Okay, well then now you need to be an investor. Google, how do I become an investor? Google's like, oh, you could do day trading options. No, I want to never be making money forever, right? And so all this to say, you need to be super clear on what to ask. Eventually the question for Google was, how do I become a self-made millionaire that can last generations? That's what it is. So what are some of the objections a corporate partner like Pepsi might have to creating a financial wellness program now, and how can I address them? This is a super clear question to ask ChatGPT, isn't it? You could have put how to get corporate contracts, but it's not really about that. It's how do you land them. And so this is what they said. Corporate partners like Pepsi might raise several objections. They're going to have budget constraints. The objection, we're already tight on a budget and need to prioritize resources elsewhere. Response, emphasize that financial wellness programs is an investment in productivity, engagement, and retention. Propose scalable phased approach to the program. Lack immediate of ROI. Chat says, this is going to be an objection. Here's what you can say. Share evidence of similar programs showing how even modest efforts in education lead to improved productivity and morale. Check out the KPIs, limited employee interest. It will give you all of these things that you can use and practice prior to getting on the phone or the meeting with the prospect. So I'm going to pause here and see if there's any questions. An example would be if I'm going for a non-for-profit and I'm going for Pepsi, who's the Ford and who's the Lamborghini? Non-profit's Ford, Pepsi's the Lambo, right? Does that make it a little bit more clear? Thank you for asking. Go for it. Where would you find the list for it? You can literally Google RFP financial wellness, and you're going to see all these requests for proposals. And so when a company decides that they need something, first of all, they're going to think about it for years in advance, right? So they're going to say, we want to attach this project, and then we're going to start getting proposals for it. So how do we find someone to do the work? They're not going to post on a job board. That's for a W-2 employee, right? They might post it for a contractor, but it's a project, and they're going to need multiple players. So what they're going to do is they're going to put out a request, a call, sometimes an RFP, request for a proposal, and then it's going to say the timelines, the scope, what they need, and they're going to say respond back to this email address with what you can do for us. And then they're going to take all of everybody's RFPs, they're going to go into a meeting, they're going to narrow it down, they're going to set up meetings with everybody else that's smaller, and then they're going to let you know if you got it or not. So that's usually what it's like for a lot of projects. For some of us, we're going to have to get a little bit more creative because no one's really putting out an RFP for financial wellness around investment education, which is kind of what I would do. So I have to seed the idea to the internal advocates. It would be, a lot of your employees are one financial crisis away from leaving for a better paying job. And you tell that to a director, they're like, you know what, that's actually quite true. So why not, let's get behind this. Right? Let's help educate people what their options are. Let's help them to utilize their 401k so that they actually have a plan for when they retire and they're not always jumping ship. And so again, that's why the conversations. You had a question. I'm pointing at you, don't look back.
I work for a Fortune 100 company in tech full time, and what you just said about the RFPs is the better way to do it is to build those relationships, and then they write the RFP so that only you can meet it. And that is a relationship hack, and I know you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way nobody else can meet the demand of that RFP except for you, because it's written for you.
Mm-hmm. But they do have to publicize it to give everyone a fair chance.
Correct.
But they also don't put marketing dollars towards it. That's why you're not getting it in your inbox. Great questions. Thank you. So if you haven't realized that I know what I'm talking about, feel free to get your workbook because this is really going to help you out. And it's going to be it one more time as well. So phase 3, seal the deal for future deals. Let's say, okay, you pitched them, they loved it, you're working. This is where a lot of people fumble. A lot of people get contracts and then they just don't show up, or they treat it as if this is not a really, 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 really big deal. So one corporation is the equivalent of having about 1,000 or thousands of clients. And so you want to make sure that you carve out the time to do this. Measure success. So when I go in, I take a survey, and every single step of the way, I measure what the KPIs are. So KPI is a key performance indicator. Did these people know what compounding was prior to us having a conversation? Did these people actually contribute to their IRA prior to stepping into this engagement? Did these people actually utilize the other benefits you have? Are these people more engaged at work because they have a solution? So you want to measure success. You want to network effectively to build relationships. So the reason why I go in an organization and I get multiple contracts is because I'm not just talking to the people that hired me. I'm talking to everyone. When I do a money mastery program, everyone in that room is someone, and they are the heads of their own departments, and that's a separate contract. And you want to over-deliver on expectations. So I know a lot of us have a tendency to say, like, I can do everything for you. Don't do that. Think about what your 100% is and only say you're going to do 85. And then when you actually execute on the work, give your 100 and they're going to be like, oh my God, they gave 115%, right? You really, really, really want to under-promise and over-deliver. If you're giving them your best and you can't give more, well, that's not really going to be good for the over-deliver part now, is it? Because you already did your best. Position for repeat business. And like I said, you want to continue to keep planting the seeds. So as I'm in a contract and I'm talking to them, I'm in doing the money mastery, and it's a 3-part workshop that I give. And in the second part, I'm like, I know this is a lot of information. So, you guys have me back every year, and I'll be happy to, keep you accountable. And I'm just putting the seed in there, but let's hop right back in. You just always plant the seed. Oh, I can't wait. Maybe a couple of your executives can come into one of my programs so I can go deeper into this with you, because I know maybe you don't want to air your laundry out. Or maybe you can have a one-on-one VIP session with me if you have something more unique that you want to talk about. And then I keep it moving, but planting the seed. You want to quantify everything, right? You want to tell them, hey, you had me here for 5,000, but on the survey, people said that this was at least worth 10,000. Now, we had about 50 people in the room, and they said it was 10,000. Next time we get to the table, do you think I'm charging 5,000? Nah, because I actually quantified it. Reaffirm your expertise with proven results. Let them know that, hey, I'm the best one for this job, and keep saying it. I'm so happy that you hired me. Like, really, I'm the best. Your boss is going to be so excited when we wrap up this project and he sees how much employee satisfaction has gone up or user retention has gone up, right? This is not the space to be humble. And then stay ahead strategically. So I'm going to give you a case study about a client that this really did come in handy. Pro tip, again, make it enjoyable. Who here has gifting as their love language? Like gifts, receiving gifts? Who here doesn't care? So y'all need to start caring, okay? Because everyone is underappreciated. And how many times do we each get to hear thank you? Like, not enough at all. And the person who's bringing you in is really putting themselves on the line by extending their trust. And a lot of times, all you have to do is just make it nice. So this doesn't have to be as extravagant, as a Michael Kors wallet and like a gold $100 bill. But you know what? This was like a lot of money that they got me, so this was nothing in the grander scheme of things. But sometimes I'll just do a gift card, right? Or just a card to say thank you. I spoke at a conference earlier this year. Liz was here for InvestorCon. Is Liz here? She might not be. She might be at her booth. But she saw me at this conference, and she was like, Ange, oh my gosh, it's you. And then she introduced me to everyone, and she's like, guys, you won't believe Ange gave me the nicest journal. And how many people spoke at her? You're here! No, you're not here, sorry. You look like Liz. I got so excited. It's Janine. No, that's Janine. Anywho. But all this to say, she was very excited to show me around and to introduce me to people because I thought about her. How many people do you think went to her conference, spoke, and actually gave her a gift? Apparently not many. That was hilarious, by the way. Tailor your communication to resonate with each stakeholder. So some people like reading long text. Some people like to text on the phone. Some people, I went to a conference, an event at PricewaterhouseCoopers the other day, and what was really beautiful about it was there was a lady there, and she was saying that she was from Papa John's, and she got the time to work with Shaquille O'Neal on one of their, things. He does a ton of stuff. Man gets paid. Talk about diverse streams of income. He has mastered it. So Shaq and her are in a meeting, and, technically they should have met before, and they should have planned it out. They should have had, tons of things, but they would meet at the Cracker Barrel. And they would pre-meet before the big meeting. And during the meeting, they would text each other layups for how she could get her point across in terms of how she can get more funding for diverse programs, how she can do all the things. Right? But she knew that's the best way to communicate with Shaq. Maybe it wasn't setting up a meeting in a boardroom and just, having everybody there. So you have to meet people where they're at. What this looks like for me is sometimes I might have to text the person in charge, the VP. I might have to do a voice note because I know that they're super busy. I might have to send a video, or I might have to ping their assistant 25 times because I don't want to ping them 25 times. Do what works for your people. Utilize testimonials to build future credibility. So every time I give a talk, I always ask for testimonials, and I always say hey, I will be willing to do a 15-minute debrief with you if you enjoyed this. Shoot your boss some nice words, send me a screenshot, and I'll do a free one-on-one with you. It's worth $997. How many messages do you think the boss is getting? A ton, and they sent it to me in a screenshot. So now when I do the re-up proposal, what do you think I'm putting in there? The screenshot. Is this helpful for y'all? Okay, because I know you could Google it, but I'm trying to tell you the things that Google won't say. Okay, so validate your results with regular progress and updates. So there's always going to be someone who just paid for you, and then there's going to be the people who you actually work with and get things done. Even though I know that they're checking in, I want to manage that conversation, so I give progress updates to the big honchos too. Good job for greenlighting this project. It's going really well. We're going to create so much impact here. I know it's going to move the bottom line. And so we made it to W, which is amazing. Win trust through transparency. If the project is taking longer, don't ghost them. Don't just miss a deadline. That is not acceptable. This is their life on the line. This is your life on the line, your business. It's okay for things to take longer. You know how fast it takes me to put up a landing page, make an ad, and put out the outline for a webinar? It's 1 hour. You know how long it takes corporate? 7 months, right? So They get it. Things take longer, and you being excited probably gave like a way shorter deadline and timelines, but they were like, let's just see. If you're transparent, just say, this is taking longer and I want to make sure that we're not compromising on quality, that's going to be okay. Like, it's okay. Just be honest. Make sure you have the X factor. So your offerings need to continue being unique. I did the financial mastery program, and now I'm going to start pitching retreats, right? How many of us thought about that? Well, I'm thinking, well, heck yeah, take me to Cabo, pay for it, put me in a villa to talk to these people for an hour, right? And so start getting unique with it. And then yields measurable results that demonstrate impact. I can't tell you how much I'm talking about the numbers, but that's what's really going to make the impact. And then zero in on client retention to turn one-time projects into long-term partnerships. And so that's pretty much it, X, Y, A through Z. Does anyone have any questions before I show you how this worked in the real world? Go for it. So this is a great, amazingly great question. And the reason why is because there are so many people in a corporation. So sometimes if it's going to be an employee benefit, you want to go to the head of people. Sometimes this is not the head of HR, but it can be employee benefits. If you want to speak to executives, you might go to like the executive compensation team. If you are looking to partner or to license your material, you might want to go to the head of education or community development if you want to go into the community and have them sponsor you. And so you can really, what I found works best is finding someone internally at the organization that's not that person, like a regular person, and saying, I would love to do this. Who's the best person to talk to about that? And they're going to tell you directly who that is, and you're going to say, amazing. Do you think they'd like this idea? Would you mind just introducing us? Because I'd love to pick their brain on if this is something that could really help. So that's the way I found out better, because these people also do get cold emailed all the time. And a lot of us know that there are these softwares that do the spam thing. So if you can get an internal introduction, way better. Great question. So I'm going to give you the case study in a second. But here are some tips, again, that you might not be able to Google. So develop a clear payment policy. I mean, I know sometimes our clients are shady and try not to pay us, but these corporations are too. So, and because you're like a little fish, they might be like, it's okay. And so these terms, you're not going to get paid right away like a client. They're not giving you, for a lot of them, they're not giving you a credit card, and they're not going to be like, hey, swipe 20,000. It's just not. Sometimes they're deliverables, and so you get paid per batching. Sometimes it might be term 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, meaning after you finished all the amazing work you did, you might not get paid for 3 months. And so you have to think about this, and this is why I never advocate it being the only source of revenue in your company. Because if it is, you might get into some cash flow tight crunches. The other tip is that this is a long game. This can be anywhere from 45 days to 4.5 years, 5 years. Like, there are people that I met 3 years ago, and I just completed a contract with them last week. And even furthermore, people move around. So I was at I think it's like a supplier diversity symposium in Philadelphia. And I did a talk for them to get people excited about it. And I brought a gift for the person who got me in the room. And guess what they said? She doesn't work here anymore. I was like, wait, what? She doesn't work here anymore and I am here? And they were like, yeah, right before she left, she just made sure, she said, you have to connect with Ange. And I was like the swan song, like, let me make sure that this was one of the things I wanted to get done before I left this organization. And so it can take a long time, but if you're kind and memorable, people won't forget you. Tip 3, be creative how you can support. People say we want to work with you, but sometimes they don't know what that means. And sometimes they think it might be like a sponsored post, but you can do more than a sponsored post, right? You can license your intellectual property. You can speak. You can do advisory. You can go in at an ERG. You can go in for a women's group. You can go in for a people of color group. You can go in for like a millennial group. There's a group for everyone. You can also go in there. You can also talk about mindset work. You can say, hey, I'll be on retainers to help your employees. Tip 4 is smaller companies can work too. So yes, I go for Walmart and I go for the really, really big ones, but I will say I've also worked with folks who have 5 employees and they still hire me for wellness. And they still pay just as much as what those other folks would pay. So don't underestimate the smaller companies. Case study. Ooh, little graphic. So this is my super duper amazing client. And I won't say who it is because I'm sure in one of the contracts there's languaging, so just know they're super duper amazing. I came in on an ERG, an employee resource group, for some of us who don't know what that is, and that's how a lot of us can get our foot in the door. And it was a Facebook message. Someone tagged me in a group. They were like, yeah, well, you want someone to come in to talk about money. And then I responded, and she said, well, it's our ERG. We don't have the biggest budget. And I was like, ugh. It's not really that much. Saying this, I am also realizing how privileged it is to say that. And I remember when I first started my business, I did do a $17 5-day boot camp. So perspective, right? Like, oh, how we grow. But at the time, it was like $19.95. But then, I thought, what's the mission? And the mission is to help people. Is it taking a lot out of me? No. I'm going to be in my pajamas, and I'm going to be getting paid $19.95 for 40 minutes. So, suck it up, buttercup. So I did it, and then later on, they were like, wow, that was really amazing. So they sent me the RFP for a post to create a financial wellness investment program. So again, the internal people sent me the request. I answered it, and guess what, guys? I didn't actually get the RFP. I didn't get the contract. Right? And so, of course, I was bummed because I spent so much time on it. So I went to the person. She loved our little meeting. And I said, out of transparency, just tell me, who got the contract? What did they offer? So this dude who got the contract, actually, I think he did ChatGPT it. And so I think he put the whole proposal in from ChatGPT and didn't change anything. And I was like, man, this is not going to really do for them. So I said, funny enough, you hired someone to do this for you, but they don't have actual investing experience, do they? Are they financially free? Have they been on the journey? Or do they just do curriculum design? They're like, it's actually curriculum design. Well, how about I just come on as a chaperone? I can advise him. I can just make sure that he's good for it and you're getting what you paid for. And they were like, sure, how much an hour do you charge? And I was like, shit, I don't know. I'm just making this stuff right now. I don't know. And I'm Googling on the side, 1 second. I'm 1 second, a call's coming through. I'm Google, how much, do you pay for this? So I gave them a number, and they were like, and of course, with any number that you give, you think of the number and you put 15% more, right? And so, because that's how much you could stomach at the time, or at least I did. So I did it, and they were like, okay, let me talk to them and see what we could do. What? Okay, so it worked out. And to be clear, I didn't mention this before, but one of the reasons why I really wanted a super amazing client was because at the time we were moving, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to do the B2C side. I wouldn't be able to do the launches, to do the showing up and all that. And I said, honestly, if I could get one entity to pay me $100 and something plus $1,000, I'll be good. I'm not even greedy. I'm going to be happy with just that. But the thing is, I don't want to have to show up for a job. Because I did look at job boards, and I was like, wait, 15 days PTO? This is not going to work out. So then this is actually working. So I came in as an advisor, and then I said, I can come there and train your trainers. And they said, no, we'll leave this guy to do it. He did the first one. Guess what happened? 3 months later, Ange, you got to come and do this trainer. We didn't know. And I'm like, of course I could do that. I'll send you my invoice. Because, of course, naturally, giving Ange would have been I'll be right there and done it for free. But this is not how it goes in corporate. There is a SOP, there's a statement of work, there's a SOW, which is a statement of work, not the SOPs that we know, sorry. And then anything out of that is an additional contract, right? This is not the giving. They can pay for it. And so they paid me to fly down and do it. And then I said, well, if these people are teaching financial education, do they actually know how to invest? And no, I train, they don't. So guess what I did? That boot camp that has sold nothing on my website in years, all of it became IP. And they licensed it. And they bought 50 license to my boot camp. Of course, now I got to Google, how do you license boot camp? How do you license a program and all this? Get an IP lawyer. But it was worth it. And then I did a money mastery internally, and now I'm doing a custom internal program where they hired me to make the same thing they paid me to do in the second step, but they hired me again to do it again for another group of people. And while I was on this call, no lie, this was 2 days ago during FinCon, I stepped out to take the meeting. She's like, Ange, I just want to let you know, like, you need to start thinking beyond this project because I already know I want to take you national. I was like, wait, what? So it can really, and national, this is a large-scale organization, y'all. When I started this dream of getting a really amazing client, it was because I thought, Ange, in her 20s, who had 6 figures of debt and was making $40,000 a year, would not be able to afford to work one-on-one with CEO Ange now. And it was crushing me inside because that was me then, but there's a lot of people now that are still like that. And everyone gets to hear this message. And so I thought, well, someone still has to pay me because I'm not a non-for-profit, but it should be the right people. And so this organization is in control of billions of dollars. And there's a really great chance that the Happy Investor Method is going to be a household name, and it is going to be where people know the value of investing. And so don't take this lightly. It can change your life. So the total so far, because, I made this before that conversation, is, so I'm expecting to actually see another comment and have it be at least 1.34 million. I'm just going to put that out there. If y'all could co-sign with me, that would be great. Or more. That's why there's a plus. Ended up being 134,495 so far. 168 hours total over 1 year. Meaning, that was really 1 week, y'all. Like 1 week of work over the course of a year. What would you do with an additional 134, let's just say $135,000? What would that look like for you for 1 week of work? It's important to think about this. Incorporate it in your business. It can have huge results. Again, money is a tool. It allows us to be more of who we were born to be. And not only can you change your world, but it can change the world. So we need to start doing our part. You've got this. So, don't miss out. It's there again. And honestly, if you have any questions at all, feel free to stop me. I love FinCon. Like my last talk, I think, was how to have a 6-figure business without social media. So I'm really here to help in any way I can. And of course, please do stay in touch. And so I think we have, Shooky, what time is this ending? We have 4 minutes. Any questions at all? Go for it. So if it's something that's really important to you, I'm a huge fan of investing behind it. I know that you lead with your strengths, and I always wasn't a polished public speaker. So I have been to conferences, I've been to workshops called like Own the Room, I've dipped in on a Toastmasters. If it's a skill that's important for you to refine, then do it. You have to figure out a way to get your voice out there. As I mentioned before, I still haven't figured out the social thing, right? I don't know if I ever will. That just might be my struggle in life. But I have figured out speaking because I knew if I could speak for 1 hour and let that go for a year, then I'm going to do that versus showing up 365 days a year. And so if it's important to you, put the money into it, read the books, get a coach, join a program. I've joined programs to learn how to get to 6-figure, like to corporate contracts. And I've spent a lot of money doing it, and a lot of them were fluff. But if you can just get one nugget that you can apply and know that no matter what, it's going to work out for you because you're the biggest investment, then it's going to work. So I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? So you guys are going to come back next year and be like, yo, I got like this 10-figure, that would be amazing, this $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $1 million contract. You promise to let me know? Awesome. So if you love this, please feel free to let me know by writing in, letting me know how helpful it was, or mention to PT or FinCon that we need more content like this, because I really want you guys to survive, but more importantly, I want you to thrive. Thank you.